All right, with the Phoenix Suns punching their NBA Finals ticket with a 6-game victory over the LA Clippers, Chris Paul finally makes his first Finals appearance. I ain't gonna say his age because that's irrelevant. He made it.
16 years in the league, though.
And of course, the one thing that's always talked about with him is that he was the best player to never make the finals. Well, with him making the finals this year, he's clearly out of that. But even thinking back before this year when he didn't make it, when he wasn't making the finals, when he hadn't made the finals, how is he automatically the best player to never make the finals? When you have a player like Dominique Wilkins or George Gervin, who also didn't make the finals in their career.
Well, it's because he's the player at the moment that's still playing. So, they're going to go to the recent person before they dig deep.
I can feel it. I just always thought, because I seen, of course, that was the topic on Twitter. I forgot who tweeted it, but it was like, who's now the best player to never make the finals? And of course, everybody, George. I seen people saying like Charles Barkley and Karl Malone and Patrick Ewing, like
right, they made the finals.
Yeah, they might be some of the best players who didn't win the finals, but they definitely made it. But George Gervin and Dominique should definitely be at the top of that list now. With players like Carmelo, Steve Nash, of course, 2-time MVP, never made the finals.
Right.
So this is gonna be an interesting list, and shout out to Chris Paul for getting over that finals hump and finally making it there. Shout out to Devin Booker, first playoff appearance, go straight to the finals. The Phoenix Suns' first final appearance since '93, and the first team in NBA history to go 10 straight years without making the playoffs and then to make the finals in the first playoff appearance.
Well, you said the first team in NBA history to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not surprising because I couldn't think of nobody to do something like that. A lot of people think, they said you saw in the bubble last year where they was capable of, especially with Devin Booker being their best player and leader of the team. So, they put it all together this year. Monty had a great year.
Definitely.
James Jones, they call him Champ, has been working to rebuild the culture there.
Mm-hmm.
And he always had a plan, you could tell, around Devin Booker. And then, like we said on a previous episode, I believe, just seeing what they look like with a real point guard with Ricky Rubio, they said it made, just sense to get Chris Paul. And I'm sure this season has even extended past what Chris Paul thought would happen. Because I'm pretty sure, I can't say I'm pretty sure, but I wonder how likely it was he was going to come back to Phoenix if they did leave earlier. Right. But I'm pretty sure for the right price, he'll be back. I know a lot of people think he's about to sign a really huge deal. I think he's going to get a bigger deal than he possibly thought he was going to get coming into the season. But we'll see what type of deal he ends up with.
It's going to turn out a $44 million option. So
yeah, so I don't know that he's getting more than $44 million, but he can get close to that over a few more seasons now. So it makes sense to turn it down. Right. Just because you never, to get the security of maybe a 3-year deal. Even if you go to 39, 35, because he's not getting more than $44 million. If you think,
and it helps Phoenix to be able to sign players back like DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges when it's time to sign them.
Yeah,
if they choose to bring Chris Paul back and Chris Paul chooses to come back.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for Chris Paul not to come back.
That too.
I think he might as well finish his career there. So shout out to the Phoenix Suns, first time going to the finals since Sir Charles won the MVP. Charles Barkley should retire from TV, but he's a good basketball player.
Right. And with that being said, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And we are the Hoopers, and this is the Hoopers Morning Run. This has been a good playoff. Like I said, Devin Booker has shown that he can elevate his game to another level to help his team in playoff situations. And DeAndre Ayton is another player who's taking the challenge because I think he's had the most responsibility out of this Phoenix Suns team, especially defensively, having to start off with Anthony Davis, who did get hurt, but still Andre Drummond. Then in the second round, you get thrown up against Jokic. And then even this round with rim protection, because you do have players who like to draw the ball with Paul George and Reggie Jackson. So DeAndre Ayton has held his position down as best as you possibly could for a third-year player in his first playoff appearance.
Yeah, he's shown his worth again being that number one pick because obviously people went straight to Luka and then even Trey. But he's definitely shown his worth and why he was the right pick for Phoenix and why he's the right building block with Devin Booker. So DeAndre Ayton is definitely if people weren't paying attention to him before, he's kind of like Bam last year, making that step up. So making it look good for the centers.
It's funny that you said he's like Bam from last year because that's been the most recent debate: who's better, him, DeAndre Ayton, or Bam.
I would still say Bam is better at this point. DeAndre Ayton is developing just fine though. But at this point, Bam is still more versatile offensively. He's better defensively still. Aiton's a better rebounder. But I think Aiton has a better low post game. But I think overall offensively, Bam is better.
Yeah, that's what most people saying. Bam was, with him being more versatile on offense, that give him a slight edge.
Aiton is right there though. If you didn't consider him top 5 coming into the playoffs, he's probably leaving at your number 5 spot, trying to get in there. Because obviously you got Jokic and Embiid, Cat, and Bam. So after that, who's really head and shoulders ahead of DeAndre Ayton? Nobody comes to mind immediately, but I'm sure I'm missing someone.
Clint Capella.
I'll take Ayton. So makes sense.
No, yeah, definitely. I don't know. It's like, yeah, he's definitely in that area. So shout out to DeAndre, like I say, shout out to DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns for that.
Right. So for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, over to the Milwaukee Bucks and Atlanta Hawks, who are both missing their star players at this point, with Giannis out with the knee injury and Trae Young out with the bone bruise in his foot. Milwaukee picked up a big victory, and thanks most importantly to Brook Lopez looking like All-Star Brook.
That's right.
How
was whatever he wanted?
Was you surprised at that kind of what happened last night? Like Atlanta just didn't have an answer for Brook, and it was more in the post than even on the perimeter at that.
Yeah, with Brook being so involved, really, he started off real easy, getting like just dive downs into the bucket real easy. Atlanta wasn't. They were just leaving the paint wide open for him, and Drew was dropping some really good passes to him or whatever. So I definitely wasn't expecting. I mean, he had a career high, so I don't think nobody expected the night from Brook that we got or whatever. So, but they really just kind of picked on Atlanta from the start. They came out really slow. Brook, Drew, they were both aggressive. I thought a big night from Chris Middleton was going to happen, but it ended up being huge from Brook, and can't forget Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis. Right. Yeah. Bobby Buckets, Reggie Miller was calling him crazy eyes. I didn't know that was Bobby Portis' nickname. But I get why I said his eyes do be like wide open. Like, and that headband don't help holding his eyebrows up.
Right. Yeah.
But when you get games like that, and it's kind of like John Collins kind of reverted to some early regular season stuff, kind of getting bullied in the post with, he was kind of letting Bobby Portis do what he wanted. And then on the other side, he was kind of rushing his shots, even in the post. Like, he wasn't taking his time. It was just turn, fade away, turn around, jump shot. How important is Bobby Portis going to be? Because Giannis might miss the rest of the series depending on how long it goes. But how important is Bobby Portis going to be for the Bucks?
Right, he still giving that size up there because after Capella, the Hawks are pretty small with Collins and the rookie, which the rookie plays really well. I can't pronounce his name, but he plays really well for Atlanta. But you could just see the size difference, even with Brook Lopez out there. So they were just getting what they wanted in the paint, and Bobby just was running the floor. Like, they weren't running with him. Nobody was putting a body on him. He was more aggressive in the paint. And that's what you need, because that's what you're missing with Giannis, is the person running the floor and just putting pressure on you in that paint area. So Bobby just took advantage of them from the start. And his aggressiveness was very clear from the start.
And that's kind of
22, 25, 22, I think. Yeah, 22. Yeah.
And that's kind of what they expect to bring Bobby Portis in at the beginning of the season. He's a player who can have big games for you and just, catch fire and hit some shots, go down in the post, and just a good fill-in player, because early in the playoffs he didn't really play against Brooklyn. He played a bit against Miami, so to see him in against Atlanta and him take advantage of that situation is good. And then on the other side of that, the Hawks just came out slow in general. I know your main thing, especially earlier in the game, was Kevin Huerter was just going one-on-one too much.
Yeah.
When that's not really his game. Like, he's more, rhythm shooting, 1-2 dribble. And if you're Milwaukee, you kind of satisfied with that, even with Brook Lopez on, because he's not going to make a move on Brook for real.
Yeah, Atlanta killed themselves from the beginning with bad offense. They got the switch for Brook Lopez on Kevin, and they thought that was something to exploit. But, I mean, if that's not your game, that don't make it a mismatch. So it was kind of wasted offense really early on, and Kevin wasn't making quick enough moves, because at the end of the day, Brook Lopez is still like so much taller than him, and he was recovering on him quicker than he thought. So they kind of was going to that just way too much. So the offense was wonky and out of rhythm. I thought Lou should have been more aggressive to score the ball, while he still was more playmaking, especially when they were so cold. I think he should have been looking to shoot the ball more, because he was the one that could catch fire quick. But I think next game they probably should go to. I think Cam should start. They should put Kevin on the bench. I think with Lou possibly starting because you don't know what's going to happen with Trey. Do you want to lose what little offense Cam brought last game? I mean, he only had 7, but he shot 3 for 5, so it's just about getting more shots. But I think I would start Cam next game. He's a better defender to be on Chris Middleton anyway. And that, what they got to lose. Cam is the normal starter anyway. He's been out so long that, with everybody going down, it was just easy to stay with Kevin in the starting lineup. But I would go Cam. I would expect Trey to play the next game, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't either. So you're gonna need Lou to be just aggressive because you're not getting nothing out of Chris Dunn. He looks like he hasn't played basketball in 2 years. I don't even say that as a joke because he hasn't played in at least a year. He just came back from injury. He missed his whole season, but he looked like he hasn't played in a while. Like just even some of the passes he was throwing, just regular passes trying to get it into the post. Like he just threw one away one time, trying to get it to the high post at the free throw line. It was just terrible. So you're gonna need Lou to be really aggressive if you don't get traded. It's like, how much does Lou have? No disrespect, shout out to Lou. He's he Metro Atlanta. He's a GOAT out here, but Lou is definitely at the tail end of his career. So he gives you spurts, but then sometimes the lemon pepper ain't hot.
The lemon pepper ain't hot. No, them facts though, and it's like going back to the Cam Reddish point. I do kind of agree with that. Like, I think Cam Reddish will provide a little more than Kevin Huerter in that starting spot, especially defensively. But to the other point, if Trey doesn't play now, who initiates offense off the bench, or who even just play makes off the bench? Because now you're definitely putting Kevin Huerter in that role.
But I would step up Bogdanovich minutes. He's playing better, so I would just have him play a lot more, and he would handle the ball a little more. Him and Lou's minutes have to go up, I would say. And Cam is feeling confident. He got confidence in that win. He looked confident last night,
right.
But he just got to get more shots up. So, but it is a real deal that you may not have someone at second unit. If you got to play someone else, I would play Skylar Mays over Chris Dunn. I don't think Chris Dunn should see any more time. He's just not there, and it's understandable. It's the conference finals, and you haven't. Unlike Cam, who just hadn't played since February, Chris Dunn didn't play at all this season. So
right.
I would go to Skylar Mays. I would go with him if I had to play somebody, but I would just play Lou. I would really bulk up Lou's and Bogdanovich's minutes, and both of them handle the ball, and then you get Cam out there, and then you still got Kevin. I just want to start him.
No, yeah, I feel you. Even still, try to figure out a way to get Cam more minutes with Gallo out there. If you do gotta leave somebody on the court a little longer, because like I say, somebody minutes is gonna have to come up, are gonna have to go up. But like Bogey is coming. I think he's still hurt though with the.
Yeah, he's definitely still hurt. He's definitely still hurt. Had 28 last night, but he's definitely still hurt.
So it's just gonna be, Nate McMillan can manage that. And on the back over to
and they're playing 35 plus minutes, but
already, yeah.
So it's not like they're not playing. I mean, Cam only played. What I'm looking at now, Cam played 22 minutes last night, so Cam needs to get in the 30-minute range.
I think that helps. Yeah.
So but it's the playoffs. Rotations do get shorter, and you try to make the NBA finals. So you got to lead the guys out there who you're not gonna get it done.
No, yeah, like I say, definitely. I think, like I say, getting Cam more minutes might just be a solution to that. Even coming off this injury, it's like you still trying to walk them back out there. You don't just want to throw them in there full throttle, full speed.
No, couldn't do it.
Can't do it. We can't walk him back in there. You can't just.
I think he's ready. Got to put him out there. He got to be ready. Now it's time to play.
I mean, yeah. No, I get that is true though. Like that is true.
He's been back because he's been back.
He just got back and he played just about getting medically cleared to play.
So,
yeah.
After that first game, he hit those threes. He looked good, and then even last night when they were kind of falling back, he was aggressive for the Hawks. So I think just give him more responsibility. Cam's ready; he can handle it. And this also, win or lose, it'll be good for him going forward towards next year when you get the full roster back. And if Cam takes that next step forward, I mean, he's a guy that people thought really highly of. If you hear a lot of people from his draft class, I think he was definitely voted. The players voted him to win Rookie of the Year, and a lot of them voted him to have the best career. So it really it was, people think really highly of Cam, and the talent is definitely there for him. So give him a chance to showcase it. And if you break out during the playoffs, that just leads to better next year for sure.
All right, and like I said, back over to Milwaukee real quick. Another thing with them, they played about as great as defense as you could on this Atlanta team, who is missing Trey, but still is a good offensive team. And that starts with Drew up top and even goes back to Brook Lopez, who's a sneaky good rim protector. I don't think people realize he is a decent rim protector. He's just a little slow-footed.
You forget that Brook Lopez did come from that era where you did have to be a center. That he was an all-star in that era. Even though I still hate that year that he averaged 2 rebounds, and I'll never let him live it down. But he did come from that era where people thought he was the second best center in the league. He shoots a lot of threes now. So, but you forget he's legit 7'1" out there.
Right, and he's tall 7'1",
and he's not like stiff. Like, I'm not saying he's the most athletic, but he can move. He can. You've seen that on some of his cuts to the basket and just how he went up to dunk the ball. It's some athleticism still there in Brook Lopez for sure. So, is Giannis gonna play? Is he coming back?
I don't know.
Because I'll say this: if Giannis doesn't come back and Trey does, the
I was thinking that same thing. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna be cleared to play or not.
Milwaukee didn't handle the Hawks enough last night for me. Because at the end of the day, y'all are missing Giannis. I get it, but y'all still up an all-star. Wow,
2 all-stars.
Drew is an all-star. So
3.
y'all
Brook Lopez.
If we count Drew, you can count Brook Lopez because Drew they've been about the same amount of time. But you still got Chris Middleton, who had a big night. He had 26 points or whatever. He got his buckets. But they had a sizable lead early in the game. I think they at one point was up 18. They might have got up a little more than that. But how down and defeated the Hawks look, being down a lot of players, being down Trey, down DeAndre. It just didn't feel like the Bucks just got rid of them like I felt like they should.
No,
so I think without Giannis and you keep giving them a chance, like they should close out the next game. I'll just say
that would be their best. That would be their best favorite to close out.
You shouldn't leave Atlanta. That's all I'm gonna say. Because if they go 7, Trey playing game 7. I guarantee you he plays game 7 if it goes 7. And you don't want to learn the hard way what the 76ers had to learn.
Definitely.
And I had the 76ers winning that series. So you don't want to learn what they learned in that game 7. Because Giannis is probably the best player, but Trey is definitely the most skilled player, and he wants the ball in the fourth quarter, especially if he's hurt. So don't learn what the 76ers had to learn.
Definitely. And speaking of an era, we were talking, I think it was either this week or last week. We were talking about power forwards from that early 2000 era. Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Rasheed, Chris Webber, Tim Duncan.
Yeah, we went about 10, 15 players deep.
Right, and we were just talking about how, because you always like to bring up how people say, that this is the deepest deepest talent that NBA has ever had. But then when you think about that, even when you get past the top 5, there's more talent to go to that next level. And just to keep it at the power forward position, because you say that about right now, because we gave our top 4 like no order. We had our top 4 easily. But then it's like when you get to that 5 through 10, it's like it gets a little shaky right there.
Right. Even with thinking about some of the younger players. And that's just, I think, the difference. The difference is not that it's the most talented era, even though players are really talented. They're super talented because you're going to get better. You're taking from what you got from before and then you add into that. So, it's a blueprint set there to build on or whatever. But it's like the talent pool just kind of switches or whatever. At one point, you have all these centers, and then you have some 2 guards, and then right now it's a lot of point guards or whatever. And people try to confuse it by thinking that it's all positionless, but people are still playing their positions. But after you get through like the top power forwards, for instance, the top 5 forwards in the league, I think we came to agreement. It was Giannis, Zion. Did in no particular order other than Giannis is number 1. Giannis, Anthony Davis, Zion. Then you
forgot Sabonis the other day.
We did forget Sabonis, and Sabonis definitely deserves to be on that list for sure. Probably right after Anthony Davis. Not probably. Sabonis or Zion? I'll take Zion.
Is it Zion?
I'll take Zion. 27 on 60% shooter.
Those facts.
I'll take Zion. But after you get through those players, it do get a little shaky. While when you did go to those early 2000s, in the power forward position was Eden. You got Tim Duncan, Garnett, Webber, Dirk. I always somehow be forgetting Dirk. Like Dirk, you can argue he's the best out of them. Tim Duncan is the best out of them. I ain't gonna go there. But Dirk had a lot of talent. And then even when you got into the younger ones, when like Chris Bosh came in, Aldridge for a few years, so the power forwards were deep. So the positions just always kind of moved around or whatever. the talent just gets more spread out. And this is the most open. It's the most open basketball has been. Period. Coaches used to be really strict about what you could do. Players have more freedom now, so the 3-point line is obviously being used way more. Not for better or worse, but it's being used more by more players. But
Right.
this is stuff you've always seen, maybe in practice or pickup, but it's extended to the game because everything's more free now. It's a lot more 1-4 flat than running Princeton offenses.
I even said run Princeton offense.
Exactly. So, but they going 1-4. I'll go over there. I'm gonna be him 1-on-1, kick it to the corner. That ain't up there in a new place, just an overused play.
Nah, yeah,
Nowadays. Well, back in the day, they was gonna Princeton you. You had to do a motion offense. For those people who thought they was field, it's gonna be triangles, triangle principles. But it's just different. It's definitely more free than it's ever been.
No, yeah, I would think that's what it is too. It's a more open game. You're allowed to do a little bit more at every position. So now you naturally get players like a Jokic, or even I think the ultimate when it comes to that is Kevin Durant. Because just growing up in high school, how many times did you see a player who might have been 6'5", but he's the biggest player on the team, but he automatically gets stuck at center because he's no matter what he can do on the court, dribble, shoot, pass, whatever. Like, now you 6'5", you go down there and give me rebounds and post up, and I think that stunted a lot of players' basketball career, honestly, because they got stuck somewhere that they wasn't gonna naturally excel at. But then it's like you see Kevin Durant and his coach is clearly like, just go out there and play basketball. Honestly, like we just can't throw you down low because that's not gonna help your game for real. Yeah, and I think that's just what's going on more on every level now. It's like if you can do it, go out there and do it.
Exactly. Yep.
But back to the NBA real quick. It's going to get real interesting. The finals is going to be good regardless of who Phoenix plays. It's going to be a star matchup, whether it's Devin Booker versus Company versus Trae Young and the Hawks, or Devin Booker versus Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, who I don't think people realize that Milwaukee is a sneaky good NBA location, like even going back to the Oscar Robertson Luol Center days.
There was always talent there. I mean, you can go back to the
Sidney Moncrief 80 days.
Moncrief in 88, you know. Everybody forget they swept Jordan them as a top seed his rookie year. It was top seed or the second seed.
I think it was his rookie year.
But they always have respectable teams. Sam Cassell, Ray Allen, Big Dog era, shout out Glenn Robinson. It's always been respectable basketball in Milwaukee. It's a terrible city, but great basketball. I'm not letting Milwaukee off the hook. They're a terrible city.
Nah, yeah,
great basketball history. Yeah, for sure.
But definitely, there's gonna be a finals with cities that most NBA fans not thinking like, oh, there's gonna be, because those are. I think that also plays into how finals are looked at, like what cities are in and what those cities do. I think with Atlanta's like, okay, we know what Atlanta is. Yeah. But then it's like with Phoenix and Milwaukee, is like, what are we really gonna get out them cities? But I think Phoenix could honestly bring something different, especially with that southeast area.
Yeah, Phoenix is a good look, and that I think Phoenix works for the NBA too because it's like a perfect, like we wouldn't consider Phoenix a major market, right? Like I wouldn't consider them a major market,
like a mid-major.
Exactly, because I wouldn't consider them small either. Because being so close to California, I think helps, and then a lot of talent comes out of Arizona,
right,
or whatever. And then it's some respectable colleges there where good players come from. Also, University of Arizona, Arizona State. And you can go on and on or whatever. So Phoenix definitely has some hoopers for sure. So to just that spread interest just works for the NBA because it doesn't have to just be about the LA Miami NBA finals or whatever. I definitely think they would prefer Phoenix, Atlanta at this point because we're a better location than Milwaukee. But to even use Milwaukee too would be overall, even though I don't like the city, it'd be great for real just for basketball overall because it shows, I mean, despite what people are going to say, because you're going to have them folks that complain about the season and the injuries, for Milwaukee to make the finals, that's good that is a real small market, and it shows some small market teams. If you keep building your teams, build around them players, this should make New Orleans feel better. You got Zion, Milwaukee made it to the finals. We can make it to the finals if we put the right pieces around them. So, and then, like I say, Phoenix, you still get a little bit of a major there because, like I said, you're gonna have that California market, Texas, not too far, and then to have a certified superstar, up and coming superstar, because as great as Devin Booker is, I don't really just call anybody superstars. I do think he's
right there.
Like this Finals MVP that he's about to win.
No, Chris Paul gonna win. Average 8
and I hope they don't do
10
that
assists
because Chris Paul he definitely closed him out. But Devin Booker's been their best player throughout this whole playoffs. Chris Paul went crazy game 6, but when Devin Booker wins this Finals MVP, it's like when Wade won his, and then it's like, all right, well, let's see the next step that he take. Because I can remember Wade winning that Finals MVP, and just the trajectory of his career coming up to that point.
Different, right?
Yeah, and it was different because obviously Wade had to play not even just second fiddle, but third fiddle, kind of fourth because Chris Bosh was still great, but being behind Melo and LeBron, nobody really cared about Wade. Remember he averaged 17 as a rookie, 17, almost 18, and anybody else would have been rookie. Yeah, anybody else been rookie of the year. And he was like, Melo averaged 20, LeBron is getting triple doubles. Nobody care about you, and then he wins the finals first. Shaq tells us how great he is, and it's like, oh, okay. Kobe, RP Kobe, he told us Devin Booker could be great, and we've seen what he's done in the playoffs. You win his Finals MVP, he starts to creep on that level because I think he only goes up from there because players are going to want to come to Phoenix, and the better players around Devin Booker, he'll win you multiple championships. I think he's going to prove that in his finals. No matter who they play, I think Devin Booker's guaranteed 30 a game, and when you see that, it's like, all right, that is kind of Kobe-ish. That is, I got Tracy McGrady, even though he didn't advance in the playoffs, just the talent. But that is Kobe-ish. He win this Finals MVP. D-Wade-ish early on. So, and if he win this Finals MVP, I said Devin Booker is the best shooting guard. I mean, I said Donovan Mitchell is the best shooting guard, but I'm going to give it to Devin Booker respectfully. If he wins.
And just speaking on another thing, like say with these not being necessarily the bigger markets, does this kind of play into the Supermax contracts payoff? Like for these teams, I know Devin Booker hasn't signed a Supermax yet, but Giannis has.
He haven't yet because he's still so young.
No, yeah, he's still so young. He hasn't had that. Like Trae Young is clearly going to sign one at some point, but it's kind of show and prove that you can't, like you did say that you can build around these players. You just have to do it, getting the right piece and good pieces. Right. But does it kind of justify the Supermax and give it for these small market teams because that's who it was made for originally, like helping these small market teams keep these emerging superstars on their team long term?
Right. Yeah, I would have to say it do because at the end of the day, people look at all the money the players make and you wonder why. And it's about how you're generating the interest as far as entertainment value, which Devin Booker's going to give you by dropping 40. And it's about winning, too, at the end of the day. So to be in his first playoffs and advance and make it to the finals and then possibly win the finals, that's just going to draw, how much money Phoenix is going to make off of that, just off of extra commercials you're going to get and just your summer run and your year run of being the defending NBA champions. Mm-hmm. So it all pays off when you give them that investment, and it gives players the incentives to stay because, like you say, having that chance to sign that extra fifth year where you can't get that nowhere else, it works out for both of y'all. You can get your money, the team gets to keep you, but the main thing is building around these players responsibly because Phoenix was in shambles a couple of years ago when James Jones took over. The GM was doing whatever. It was coach after coach in. I believe they have a new owner. I don't know it for a fact, but I think they brought in a new owner when James Jones took over. But I know the ownership was messing everything up. But it's like when you do build around these players, and people knew the talent Devin Booker was because I've seen coming up how he was drafted 13th, but he kind of failed because he came out the bench for that team, and he was the youngest player in the draft, so he really was kind of like a gamble. But those positions, that's where you find those steals at, and use a player that falls to that number with the talent of Booker, Kawhi, Giannis, Kobe. It's because they're younger, so and you can't see them as much. But people did think highly of Devin Booker when he got drafted. It was just he was such a wild card.
Right.
So
and like I said,
he definitely. But to answer your question, it definitely pays the team back and makes it. This is why we had a Supermax for you because he deserved his Supermax.
I think they all deserve the money, and it's just like you said. Now it's gonna, and like you said as well, it's gonna help those other teams as far as they go. We can do it too as well. Like,
exactly, yeah.
Especially because a lot of those teams are closer than you realize. With like Utah, who just. I know they got eliminated in the second round, but they were the best team all year. And they were looking like they were going to eliminate the Clippers at some point in the second round when they were up 2-0. Mm-hmm. Even Dallas, who's not necessarily in that who's already have a Luka, but they're also not necessarily that big. They're not a big market team. So it's like you can build like this, just responsible building and responsible coaching, like getting front office and coaching on the same page with the players is also very important.
Like New Orleans right now, this coach y'all hired this year should be the last coach y'all hired for Zion for some years. You can't keep bringing in new coaches, new players, new GMs. You got to have some type of consistency or whatever, and that even if it at least starts with the GM, and you got to find the right coach. So I get that, and Stan Van Gundy wasn't the fit there, so I understand it. But we don't need to be hearing next year with Zion on our team. All right, New Orleans going to hire a new coach. That doesn't help the development of a player because it's going to be different players touching what they see division of the player is or whatever. Because Stan had Zion playing one way. Have they hired a coach yet? I don't think so. But whoever they hire is not going to play Zion the way Stan played him. Maybe some things here or there, but it's going to be differently. So you want the consistency. So with Zion, as I've said over and over, you got to take advantage of his prime. Don't fumble the bag by rotating the players, rotating the coaches, and then possibly rotating the GM. That's why Sacramento Kings never developed their players well. There's always somebody new there. It's a new GM. It's a new owner. It's a new coach. You got new trainers, everything new. The great franchises, obviously you make changes, salary cap. If you're doing really well, you're going to lose coaches to other opportunities. Right. So it's going to be some changes. But overall, the core stays. Is those 5-6 players that stays on the team. Your trainers be the same. Your GMs are the same because everybody there for the long haul. So New Orleans need to figure that out right now because you got Zion, even you got Brandon Ingram. So you really try to choose them to play. And this is such an era, too, where people are so quick to want to make these trades, even with just to bring up the 76ers real quick. Everyone wants to really break up the team, but this was their first year with this starting lineup, so you can build on it in a regular year just to keep some normalcy, bring Doc back, and do it over instead of, all right, let's switch it again. I mean, y'all did just fire their coach last year, so you're going to fire the coach again and then trade this. Nobody wins like that, for real. So winning culture is a consistent culture.
All right.
And quote of the day.
No, yeah, I just made that up. Definitely. What's that?
I said quote of the day, and I just made that up.
Like I say, New Orleans is definitely one of those teams who's in position because they do have two really good young players in Zion and Brandon Ingram. And even like Minnesota's in that position with Ant-Man, Karl Anthony Towns, and even D'Lo, who they just have to get on the court and start playing together at some point.
And then they fired their coach, so it's like consistently don't bring in new coaches. Anthony Edwards doesn't need 3 coaches in his first 3 years. Cat has had multiple coaches, so it's like get on the consistent teams are who win for sure. Right. But that is a good because they got something there with them, and then even having a Kogi, don't be so quick to trade him for someone or somebody like that. Keep the building blocks, and then you add those other players to mesh with them. Because a Kogi, I can see somebody they trying to just get rid of. It's like, no, he fit with them, so keep building with them.
Nah, yeah, definitely. But other than that, you got anything else for the people?
Other than that, no, that's it for the day. I do want to say shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson, even though we are the Hoopers. You got to play by their rules if you want to play their games, even though their rules is old and dumb. But it is what it is. But she deserves some love. She's the fastest woman in the world, Olympics or not. So other than that, as you know, you can find us every Friday for the Hoopers Morning Run. Right. For the Hoopers Morning Run, Off the Ball Network Facebook page, Hoopers YouTube page, Hoopers Twitter page. Every morning, 9:05, come and get your early morning hoop fix. And then every Monday and Friday, of course, Nothing But Net Radio through the Dash Radio app. We on at 8 p.m. for the Hoopers Hour. So for sure, check that out. And anywhere podcasts are available, go listen to the Hoopers Pod. I think we dropped the episode last week. Got another one coming. Probably drop one next week for sure. Just more hoop talk as we all like. So that's all I got.
All right. So with that being said, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
This was the Hoopers Morning Run.
Favorite players.